Okay, defense. We're looking at the defense and then the offense. And now you're going to get a slow-mo close-up of this. Defense, and then the offense does what they do. All right? Let's show our results here. Let's see what we got. All right, we got 60%. Let's say discerning act, 55, 36, fall. Delay a game, 8%. All right, nobody's got encroachment. Nobody's got unsportsmanlike conduct. That's good. Before I give you my opinion, let's just go. I'm going to bring Robert in. I want to see what Robert has to say on this one, and we'll just kind of dive around. Robert, what do you got?
I applaud you for showing this play because you know what? I'm going to stick with my flag, and I got a false start on the left guard. The defense has every right to adjust to a new gap for defensive purposes. Is it a disconcerting act? No, because they're repositioning legally, and as long as they're not interrupting the cadence or thumping their legs to try to disrupt the offensive line from their focus, this is a defensive maneuver where they're shifting gap movement. I got false start left guard.
All right, so you got false start left guard. All right, that's cool because I know we have a dissenting opinion, and I'm going to bring that dissenting opinion in right now. Mike, I know you feel a little bit differently on this, so what do you got?
Yeah, I don't think it's a normal shifting motion. That's not a football shift. I coached offensive and defensive line for a long time, and stunting and shifting never involves that kind of acrobatic move that those guys did. They were trying to disconcert, so that's what I have. I have trying to draw the offense to false start, and I thought that was above and beyond a shift. So I have a foul.
All right, so you got this as a disconcerting act, correct? That's what you have. Now, let's just for argument's sake, what I'm going to do now, before I tell you what I think, is here's the definition right out of the rule book for disconcerting act. There is disconcerting act in the high school rule book. It's 7-1-9. No defensive player shall use disconcerting acts or words prior to the snap in an attempt to interfere with A's, or the offense's, signals or movements. So that is right out of the book. And actually, before I do that, I do want to, since we got Mike with one way, we got Robert with another way, I'm curious what maybe Mr. LeMonnier, maybe Bill has to say on this. Bill, what do you got on this? What do you think?
We're going to put this on the defense for the disconcerting act. Rolling over like that in a timely manner, the way they did it, was nothing but an attempt to draw the offense offside. The option you could have as an official is no flag, shut it down, and I'm assuming all four players are hurt because they rolled over on their back prior to the snap, and I'll send all four players out of the game.
Oh, that's an interesting take on that. Robert? What do you got, Robert?
Well, maybe I'm just too much of an old school player, but I remember being taught this at Sterling Newman Catholic back in 1986, where our defensive line coach actually had us flip like that to a different gap responsibility because of the blocking scheme of the offensive lineman. So I don't deem this as a disconcerting act in that regard. I deem it as confusing the linemen on who they're responsible in blocking.
It is not a delay game. That is a college rule. College, they added this where this disconcerting act is a 5-yard delay of game. In high school, it is not. There's a specific signal for it, and it's this. This used to be the equipment signal. They got rid of that because we don't have equipment violations anymore. We'll have illegal equipment, which that's this. That's a UNS, so they don't need that. This is the sign for disconcerting signals. Hopefully I don't ever have to announce that because I can't say that word, it seems like. But that's your signal. I look at it kind of the same way. I'm kind of with the Bill Mike camp, and I understand Robert's point about, hey, they're just moving, but they can move like this. They don't have to move like this. They can move like this. They can shift. If they shifted laterally in that abrupt motion, I got nothing on them. I'm going false start. But the fact that they flipped over on their back and made a somersault tumbling act out of it, that's what turned it to disconcerting for me. Not the abruptness of the movement. It was the movement type itself. That's why I would put it on them. If they would have gone, like I said, laterally like that, I'm going to go put that on the offense. And since Robert is in the minority here, I'll give Robert the last word. Robert, what do you got?
If you go back to the definition, did they interrupt the signal? No. Did they, so the cadence was not a factor in this regard. We have so much responsibility put on the defense when the offense does tempo checks now. As long as they don't move their feet, they can basically try to cause the defense to encroach. And in this regard, now you're basically saying, hey, listen, defense, no, I agree with the disconcerting fact. If they come in and slap, or if they come in and pound their foot to try to disrupt the cadence or vocally disrupt the cadence, I got disconcerting all day long. Now, if I'm in the minority, which it appears as though I am, I need to adjust my judgment. And I'm willing to do that because I think you guys are the best in the nation. So I'm willing to come back to the majority side and call this disconcerting act. So let's be clear on that. But if I was able to sway anybody towards with me, thank you for trying. But we're in the minority on this one.
All right. I am going to go back to the definition one more time just to make sure, because it does, I agree what you're saying about, tempo checks and all that stuff, which whatever, but it says no defensive player shall use this disconcerting act or words prior to the snap. So if that judgment, like what we're saying, that act is prior to the snap and it interfered with the snap, judgment, right? Judgment, then we're going this as disconcerting act. But I understand your judgment, and maybe you're going to adjust, maybe you won't. But in the end, it does come down to a judgment call. I mean, that's pretty much it, and we're going to judge one way or the other.